Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by Energy Sage. Time's running out in the US to get the benefits of federal tax incentives, so plan your energy independence today. And by you. Stick around to find out how you can help us remain 100% independent by joining us on Patreon this autumn. Welcome back to another episode of TEN Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. As I say in the Sunday videos over on TE Take 2, I hope you're well, safe, and with someone you care about who also cares for you. Also, a quick note, today's main stories are fairly US-centric. Unfortunately, that's just how the news cycle works sometimes, so sorry to those of you elsewhere in the world. It's now October, which means a raft of sales data has come in for the third quarter, mostly for the US. Because we filmed this show on a Thursday, though, it's likely more figures have been released since then, so sorry we can't include everything. The end of the US federal tax credits for EVs caused a noticeable bump in sales last quarter. Ford saw a total of 30,612 EVs sold in the US, while GM delivered more than double that at 66,500 and placing it in second place in the EV sales charts. Hyundai moved 28,973 EVs in the US and Kia managed 12,712. Honda finished the quarter with 20,236 Prologues sold. Meanwhile, Tesla announced global Q3 sales of 497,000 vehicles. And, as an honorary mention, in Norway, EVs accounted for 98.3% of all cars sold, setting a new record. Well done. Despite Ford enjoying a significant rise in sales of its F-150 Lightning full-size pickup and Mustang Mach-E, Ford CEO Jim Farley sounded a note of caution this week about changing market dynamics. Marking the end of the US federal tax credits for EVs, Farley spoke at the Ford Pro Accelerate Summit in Detroit, stating he still believes EVs will remain a vibrant industry, but the focus must shift to smaller, more affordable models. He admitted that Ford's customers have surprised him, noting that they're not interested in a $75,000 EV. On The Verge's Decoder podcast, Jim Farley also discussed Ford's upcoming compact pickup, noting that while styled as a pickup, it's rear-wheel drive, very fast and fun to drive. Given Ford recently trademarked the Ranchero for EV use earlier this year, it all but confirms what we can expect in terms of styling, name and designed use. The US federal tax credit might be officially dead, but automakers are finding creative ways to keep it alive in spirit. This week, both Ford and GM announced new lease programs that effectively get around the end of the tax credits. Each company's finance arm put down a deposit on all EVs in dealer inventory before the credit expired, making them eligible under a carve-out in the law as long as the vehicles are leased rather than financed. Meanwhile, BMW announced its own discount program for in-stock models worth $7,500 in cash-on-hood deals. Hyundai went even further, offering $7,500 in incentives and cutting the 2026 Ioniq 5's entry price to $35,000. It's good to see these deals arise, but many of us are asking why these cars weren't this affordable all along. New data from the California Energy Commission shows that the state has more than 201,000 public and shared EV charging points, 68% more than there are gas station pumps. At an event this week, Governor Newsom noted that 94% of Californians now live within 10 minutes of an EV charging station, and the state plans to continue expanding its charging networks. However, a California-specific replacement tax credit meant to pick up where the federal program left off will no longer be offered, with Gavin Newsom blaming General Motors and budget constraints. While some commentators note that the governor of California can sometimes Republicans lean very hard into political opportunism. He also pointed to GM's opposition to California's clean air rules as having destroyed all progress since the Air Resources Board was founded in 1967. If you're a Kia or Nissan owner in North America, Plug and Charge may soon make EV charging seamless. No more need for RFID cards or smartphone apps. Electrify America and Nissan confirmed this week that the upcoming 2026 Nissan Leaf will support Plug and Charge at EA stations in the US and hopefully Canada as well. Current Nissan Ariya owners, while not yet supported, can probably expect the feature soon. Meanwhile, Kia has enabled Plug and Charge for all 2026 EV9 and 2025 EV6 models. To use it, owners must subscribe to Kia's Connect telematics service and sign up for the Kia Charge Pass program. I would expect other Kia models to eventually get the feature via an OTA update, but Kia hasn't specifically confirmed this in press releases. Watch this space. Mercedes-Benz Trucks announced its latest all-electric model this week in Europe, the eActross 400. While the truck, based on the same tech as the eActross 600, is likely to prove very popular, the CEO of Daimler Trucks seems more focused on hydrogen. Posting on LinkedIn this week, she claimed that installing 2,000 hydrogen fueling stations across Europe is, quote, relatively easy, as well as being cheaper than building an electric charging network. She also implied good connections aren't necessary for hydrogen stations. Both claims fly in the face of current data, which shows high-pressure hydrogen stations use substantial power and are far from cheap to deploy. She went on to suggest Europe will depend on energy imports, despite the continent now generating most of its electricity locally from renewable energy. Volkswagen has not enjoyed a great year for EV sales, losing out to rival brands across Europe and much better priced, better equipped models from China. We've already covered some slowdowns in Volkswagen EV production on the channel, and this week we learned that its Zwickau production facility is the latest victim of a production readjustment to take these EV sales into account. Multiple news outlets in Germany this week reported the facility will temporarily stop production for the entirety of next week. The facility currently makes the Volkswagen ID3 Cupra Born, Volkswagen ID4, ID5 and Audi Q4 e-tron on 2 different production lines. With industrial action likely if things get worse, there are rumours that a second Volkswagen EV production line, the Emden production facility, could also close next week for several days. So watch this space. As the US White House continues its war on anything green, the Department of Energy has published a memo banning certain words internally and publicly. Acting Director Rachel Overby, who has a history in the oil and gas industry, listed the now verboten terms in a memo. These include green, decarbonisation, emissions, energy transition, climate change, sustainability, clean or dirty energy, carbon emissions, CO2 footprint, and basically anything relating to tax breaks, credits, or subsidies. And given the DOE's recent claims dismissing solar and wind power as quote-unquote useless, it's clear things may get worse before they get better. Yes, people, we are living in the mirror universe. Prepare for your moustache. I hate to admit it, but our TE office poll on which car brand will be cancelling an EV next in a pro-fossil fuel US just got its latest answer. Stellantis. Stellantis, which owns many brands in the US, has already axed the Ram 1500 BEV, slowed EV plans elsewhere, and cancelled a plug-in hybrid Jeep Gladiator. It quietly confirmed this week that the Dodge Charger Daytona SRT Banshee, meant to outpace an SRT Hellcat, is officially dead. Is that a surprise? Honestly, not at all. Ram, another Stellantis-owned brand, is busy in adverts marketing itself as the most American company, showcasing everything the world frankly finds toxic about this country. Over-the-top patriotism, exceptionalism, and rah-rah, we're the best bravado. The brand is clearly snuggling up to the FIC, that's the fascist in chief. And frankly, it's a very bad look. And after what feels like a rough set of stories, let's wrap up this segment with some great renewable energy news. In Europe, new data from Eurostat shows that renewable electricity accounted for 54% of the EU's net electricity generation in the second quarter. In June, solar became the EU's largest single electricity source for the very first time, supplying 22% of all consumed power in Europe. Across the Atlantic, the US added 5.6 gigawatts of new grid-connected battery power capacity, equating to 17.8 gigawatt hours of storage capacity. And at the same time, just published FERC data shows that 90% of newly added US power generation capacity in July came from solar and wind. So much for it being useless, eh? And if you are in the US and you would like to help the solar mix continue to soar while saving money on your bills, you should probably talk to today's video sponsor, EnergySage. EnergySage connects you with local verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help guide you through the process of installing solar panels or getting a heat pump installed. Not a homeowner? Don't worry, EnergySage can still help you green your electricity by helping you join a community solar program. We used EnergySage ourselves when looking for installers willing to put solar panels on the roof of our home, and their verified pros were knowledgeable and even introduced us to a great credit union that allowed us to finance the project with low monthly payments. As we've been saying for a while now, incentives for solar, including savings of as much as 30% through the federal tax credit program, will disappear in less than 3 months. Unfortunately, solar projects take time, so if you want to lock in these savings, it's important to act now because you frankly have no time left to dawdle. Follow the links below to sign up for either of EnergySage's free, no-obligation services and get the ball rolling today. And if you do choose an EnergySage installer, we will also receive a small referral fee, so you'll be helping the channel too. Help the grid get greener, save money, gain energy independence, and support the channel. It's a win-win-win-win. And now we're off to recall reminders. And as a reminder, full details of these are all available on our website if they affect you. NewFlyer and sister company MCI have both issued recalls for various models of electric buses and electric coaches. According to the combined recall notices, affected models may suffer a short circuit within their respective battery packs. The Genesis GV60 has been recalled in the US to address a potential problem with the windshield moulding, which could detach, which could cause a road hazard. Owners will be notified if their cars are affected. Finally, Chevrolet is recalling just over 23,000 Equinox EV models to address a pedestrian alert system that's too quiet. This isn't the first time GM has had an issue with its noisemakers. And that's it for your recall reminders. Now it's time for our news shorts. As usual, you'll find links to the covered stories on our website at www.transportevolve.com. Assets of bankrupt startup Fuel, maker of high-end electric bikes and motorcycles, have been sold for an estimated $17,000, covering only 2% of its $7 million of debt. Zoox has announced it's expanding its robotaxi test fleet to Washington, D.C. A few weeks after it began rides in and around Las Vegas, its move to Washington, D.C. is a great way to woo lawmakers. Lotus has quietly refreshed its electric vehicle lineup for the 2026 model year. Most of its tweaks include new trim levels, but it's also tweaked its naming conventions to indicate motor output. Aptera has announced a new senior VP of engineering to help bring its solar electric car to market. The new hire, Leon Knutz, is former Tesla, Ford and NIO employee with lots of EV experience. PNY, the company behind the world's first electric cargo motorcycle, has completed its first successful fleet trials of the Ponie P2. It promises to revolutionize inner-city parcel delivery services. Xiaomi has officially opened its European EV Research and Development Centre. Announced just a few months back, the company aims to use it as a way to help accelerate Xiaomi's entry into the European market. Australian mining company Fortescue has signed new agreements with XCMG and Liebherr that will see it acquire between 300 and 400 all-electric 240-tonne mining trucks. The US and EU have come to an agreement over import tariffs on European cars into the US. The new tariff, 15%, is better than the temporary 27.5% tariff, but that's much more than it was previously. XPeng has expanded its market availability in Europe, bringing new sales online in Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, Slovenia and Croatia. It is using both franchised and company-owned dealerships. Ryanair, no, not the Irish one, the one based in Alaska, has signed a deal with Beta Technologies to buy an ALIA conventional takeoff and landing electric plane for its services across the region. The government of Croatia has agreed to help fund €21 million out of a €27.4 million project to add electric bus chargers in its capital city of Zagreb. BYD celebrated this week as it signed a deal with its 100th franchise dealership in the UK. In less than 2.5 years, it's gone from 0 dealerships to having one in most major cities. Subaru has officially priced its 2026 Solterra EV from $38,495 for the US market, the same price as its predecessor, despite this model having improved charging, an upgraded platform and much more range. UK firm Octopus has announced that its Octopus Electroverse service now includes Charger Tips EV routing software, making it easier for corporate customers to embed full route planning into their services. The Government of India has announced new operational guidelines for its PM eDrive programme, a programme that it's invested in to deploy over 72,000 EV charging stations and battery swap stations nationwide. The French government-backed social leasing programme for EVs that gives low-income families a chance to drive electric is opening for its second round of applicants. Qualifying families can apply now. Working alongside Alpitronic, Circle K in Sweden has officially opened its first MCS-compatible charging station. The MCS chargers can accommodate both MCS and CCS-capable vehicles. YesPark Group, working along with Spirii, have teamed up to expand EV charging access across France, Belgium and Italy at YesPark Group's parking facilities. The Chinese government has announced a new export license program for EVs leaving China for overseas markets. After January 1st next year, only approved export models will leave the country. Charging specialist XCharge EU has opened a new 5,000 square foot technical centre in Madrid, Spain. It will help the company accelerate customer support across Southern Europe and Latin America. Siemens Mobility has just broken ground on a new facility in Bavaria, Germany, where it will create battery systems for rail projects. It will employ 200 staff and represents a €35 million investment. The UK county of Essex has welcomed its first all-electric buses to its fleet. Despite its proximity to London, the new routes, operated by First Bus, will be Essex's first all-electric service. India's first EV truck fleet with swappable battery packs has gone into service at India's largest container port, located in the Navi Mumbai region of the nation. Geely-owned Aerofugia has begun low-volume prototype production of its AE200 eVTOL urban mobility vehicle. It's capable of carrying 6 passengers. Despite reporting on Bentley allegedly dropping future EV plans last week, Bentley surprised us this week by expanding its Crewe UK headquarters, including a new engineering technical centre that it says will research new fuel types, including EVs. The government of South Korea is considering moving forward plans to ban the sale of internal combustion engine cars. It's now looking to set a start date of 2035 for the ban. MAN Truck and Bus, working with Duvenbeck and Hillett, have officially launched a new test programme involving an electric trucking route on the A2 in Germany, backed by multiple MCS charging stations. Leyland Trucks in the UK has successfully completed its zero-emission truck testing automation, or ZETA, project. It aims to help accelerate the UK's heavy goods fleet transition to electric. A new electric school bus fleet has officially gone into service in Massachusetts. The 35 new electric school buses are made possible by a private-public partnership that spans around the world. NextStar Energy has received its final occupancy permit from the Ontario government, allowing it to begin preparation for its 49.5 gigawatt-hour battery production line. Daimler Buses in Europe has announced that it will become a charge point operator to facilitate the use of its electric buses across the region. Its first charging stations will be deployed in Cologne. After selling only 18 EVs in Japan in August, Toyota and Lexus are doubling down on installing EV fast chargers at dealerships in the nation, following unfulfilled prior pledges on such a thing. The US Department of Energy, or rather the US federal government, has taken a 5% ownership of the Thacker Pass Lithium Mine project in Nevada, allegedly to protect taxpayers. South African utility company Eskom has officially added its first electric vehicles to its corporate fleet. 20 vehicles, ranging from light delivery vehicles to trucks, will soon be joined by a further 100. Just 1 week after Volvo confirmed its EX90 was switching to an 800-volt back for the new model year, Polestar has made the same switch for that car's sibling, the Polestar 3. Transit specialist KIEPE has unveiled a new product range that bridges trolleybuses and battery electric buses, enabling trolleybuses to operate as BEVs and battery buses to recharge from overhead trolleybus lines. And finally, for the news shorts, 1 week ahead of its planned debut, the all-new Chevrolet Bolt EV with absolutely no camouflage was spotted charging at a Tesla supercharger. It looked very much like the old model, and we'll find out more next week as we're going to be attending a special event for said car. So watch this space. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Before we get to our final two stories, I want to take a moment to talk directly to you. For 15 years, Transport Evolved has brought you independent news about cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transportation and energy. 10 of those years have been here in the US, and through it all, we have stayed true to our mission, covering stories that matter, even when other outlets pass them by. But we can't do it without you. We're not backed by corporations or big production budgets. We are a tiny team with just 3 full-time and 1 part-time member working hard to bring you content every week. Unlike so many other creators, we're feeling the squeeze. In a landscape where YouTube is quietly silencing independent creators and not recommending diverse voices, highlighting clickbait and AI craft above real content, ad revenue is falling down, even when our view counts aren't. Against the backdrop of YouTube kowtowing to blackmail and paying the President of the United States $24.5 million rather than go to court for silencing his violent rhetoric after January 6th, we're not sure how long we will be welcome or indeed safe on this particular platform. That's why, during September and October, we're holding a special pledge drive. By joining us on Patreon for as little as $1.50 US a month, you'll not only keep Transport Evolved going, but become part of the community that sustains independent journalism. Keep an eye out in the next few weeks as we share feedback from some of the amazing people who make this channel possible, like the fantastic Did Great, who says they love how TE represents their interests perfectly, from transportation and queer representation through to even a little bit of 3D printing from time to time. If you've considered joining the several thousand amazing folk already supporting us, now is the perfect time to do so. Your support keeps Transport Evolved alive and independent, so thank you for being part of this journey if you are. And if you are already a Patreon supporter who'd like to be featured in this segment, don't forget that we're about halfway through our autumn drive, so there's still time to fill out that form and be featured here. And now it's time for those last two stories. As I've covered on this channel plenty of time, I'm a big fan of vehicle-to-grid, vehicle-to-load and vehicle-to-home. I actually have a vehicle-to-grid system at my house, which one of you noted last week is just, quote, vehicle-to-home. While my system is currently operating in a vehicle-to-home mode, it is in fact fully capable of V2G, a fact highlighted this week by the conclusion of the first official US pilot program for a residential vehicle-to-grid distributed power plant. The test used a fleet of privately owned F-150 Lightning pickup trucks in Maryland, Maryland's utility BGE, and Ford's home integration system. The pilot has been a rip-roaring success so far, and full disclaimer, I've actually raised my hand to be considered for a similar program taking place here in the Pacific Northwest. If I'm accepted and I get the chance and I'm allowed to, you can be sure I will be sharing my experiences here on the channel. And finally, as we have increasingly seemed to cover on this channel, the US federal government under President Trump really is trying to speed run this whole dictatorship thing. It takes the form of the president doing whatever he deems fit, including rescinding funds already appropriated by law for all manner of projects, while promising funding for things he considers important. And this week, the US DoE followed that path perfectly, cancelling more than $7 billion in funding across the country for clean energy and grid resilience programs. White House Office of Management and Budget Director and author of Project 2025 lauded the cuts as ending Green New Scam funding across 16 states that voted primarily for Vice President Kamala Harris in the last election, which suggests that the budget cuts were purely retributive. Yet, the same week that the DoE decried spending on projects that could actually help secure US energy independence and future grid stability, the agency announced $625 million in projects to help save the fossil fuel industry and support, quote, beautiful clean coal across the country. This includes opening up 13.1 million new acres of federal land for coal mining. And frankly, this policy makes about as much sense as sending armed military into Portland with orders to use all necessary force to quell supposed riots that aren't actually happening. Look, we all need to stop pretending. Dictatorship isn't coming. It's already here, and it's being perpetuated by someone who thinks bigotry, racism, and sexual abuse is acceptable. The question we should all be asking ourselves is, how quickly can we all pull the jackboots off our necks? And on that really depressing and somber note, we are done with today's show. But first, a huge thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. The EVA has been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and remains firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today to find out how to become an EV educator, how to meet like-minded fans, and how to get help to make your own transition to electric. Help that does include a low-interest loan program to help finance your next step. So find out more at myeva.org. And thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the links below to plan your own energy-independent future before those tax credits vanish. And thanks to you. If you can, please consider supporting us from just $1.50 a month on Patreon. If just 400 of the 152,000 subscribers who have yet signed up to Patreon did so and committed to the equivalent of giving a fancy coffee a month, we would be in so much better a financial position. And if you join Patreon this autumn, you'll also get exclusively a piece of digital art by the lovely Erin, featuring the entire team. Here's a sneak peek. We publish every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on this channel, and every Sunday we drop 2 videos on Transport Evolved Take 2, our informal behind-the-scenes channel. And just as a heads up, next week's TEN will be an on-the-road edition, so expect it to be much shorter, less information-dense, with no B-roll. Also, thank you for putting up with me today. If you thought my script read was a bit weird, I managed to break my glasses about 3 hours ago, and these are my reading glasses, and the teleprompter is too far away. You're all very blurry. But in closing, some important stuff. You're valid. You're loved. You belong. I know this week has been tough, and I know it's been tough for many of you. Eroding rights, authoritarianism, creep, and leaders failing to lead have all led to real consequences for us all. From the illegal raids on apartments in Chicago, to attempts to strip people of citizenship, to the capturing of humanitarian aid ships en route to Gaza just trying to feed people, to labelling anti-fascist or progressive acts as quote-unquote terrorism, and calls, of course, for the incarceration or institutionalization of trans people. It's a lot, and it's scary. Right now, division and hate aren't tolerated. They are encouraged by those in power, those driven by cruelty. And in times like these, I want to remind you that kindness and empathy aren't just virtues, they're acts of radical resistance. Empathy is not a weakness, it's a skill we must nurture and practice to hold on to our shared humanity together. Remember also, though, that it's okay to take time for yourself, to unplug, to get outside, to dive into a good book or album, to make art or spend time with loved ones. It's important to care for yourself so you can come back ready to fight for decency, community, and justice. Do not let them win. Embrace your awesomeness and let your light shine. We have temporarily reopened YouTube comments, but given past threats and doxing attempts, I cannot guarantee they will stay open, and seeing them earlier today, I don't think they will. For now, the safest space for discussion for this channel is Mastodon, Blue Sky, our website, or Discord. And I want to be clear, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to threaten others. So, wherever you are, whoever you love, you are not alone. Be an ally, be kind, be that radical change you want to see in the world. Do not let hate or ignorance win. As always, thanks for joining me. Keep evolving.